At the turn of the century in 1896, the Supreme Court was faced with a decision regarding segregation. This would hope to prove that the 14th Amendment would be followed. In Plessy v. Ferguson, the court created the separate but equal doctrine. The Supreme Court ruled that segregation is still allowed. With segregation allowed, Jim Crow laws were put in place, predominantly in the South. These kept blacks and whites separate. In 1908, race crimes were ravaging through the country. The Springfield riots in Springfield, Illinois, were race riots which were sparked when two black men were alleged for killing and sexually assaulting two white women civilians. This led to even more problems for black Americans. People were outraged after the riots. Prominent black leaders including W.E.B. Du Bois, Ida B. Wells, and Mary Church Teller came together to help form the NAACP in 1909 along with other white Americans. The NAACP sought to gain civil rights for the African Americans. While tensions were rising in Europe with the arms race and the soon arrival at war, African Americans were still not being treated equally. When America joined, many African Americans saw an opportunity. They thought that serving for their country will help them gain the rights they fought for. Although they were let in, they still faced racism. There was segregation in the training camps, and they were not allowed in every branch of the military. Upon their return, black veterans came back thinking things would be different, hoping they would finally be equal. Seeing that they weren't, sparked the New Negro movement started by Hubert Henry Harrison. In 1919, 25 race riots across the country sparked because of the New Negro movement. The 1940s were rolling around, Hitler was in control, and started to invade Poland. America was not planning on getting involved until the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, killing 2,403 people and damaging 19 Navy ships. Black citizens were still sadly facing Jim Crow laws, but yet again, they eagerly enlisted. Nothing had changed though. Most soldiers were still being discriminated against and were held to all-black platoons. Back home, racism was shown on another front. President Franklin Roosevelt ordered that all Japanese should be put into internment camps for fear of spies. Coming back, the African American soldiers who served and risked their lives were still treated the same as in World War I. This would not last for long, for things would slowly start to change. July 26, 1948 was an important day in American history. The then President Harry Truman signed Executive Order 998. This desegregated the armed forces. Another war is sparked. The Korean War kicks off. The North is communist and the South is capitalist. The platoons are finally mixed. Although the black soldiers still faced racism. Back home, the NAACP is starting to sue schools. The civil rights movement is starting to catch on. This happening, students started to protest the schools also. In 1954, the Supreme Court decided on Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka. The NAACP, with lawyers, started to take cases that were challenging school segregation, most famous being Oliver Brown's class action lawsuit. They claimed that the schools were separate but not equal, which went against the original ruling 58 years earlier in Plessy v. Ferguson. And they also argued that segregation violated the Equal Protection Clause in the 14th Amendment. When it reached the Supreme Court, it was a unanimous decision. Quote, "In the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place, as segregated schools are inherently unequal."